Alright, before I get to my top 3, I want to do some category things here.
Ooh.
So, top soundtracks. Number 3, Undertale. Very good soundtrack. Number 2, Smash Bros. Ultimate, which has like a million songs. Number 1, Octopath Traveler. Fantastic soundtrack. I actually bought the soundtrack to Octopath before I got the game because I liked it that much from the demo. I will talk more about that soundtrack pretty soon too. Next, Best Multiplayer. Number 3, Mario Tennis Aces, which I think is better now than it was before because they've added some modes and stuff online finally, but now it's got to compete with Smash, so I mean, one day I'm going to go back to it. Number 2, Super Mario Party. Now this game didn't quite make my top 10, but it's actually a pretty good Mario Party game. I think it's one of the better ones. I've gotten both my parents and my parents-in-law to play it, which is always worth some bonus points.
Yeah.
It's got several different modes, and most of them are pretty fun. Some of them are shorter than others, and I don't know. I think it has new dice blocks that kind of add a little more strategy to Mario Party, but it still has that crazy random factor. And there's a new co-op mode called River Survival. That's a nice addition to the series. And number 1 best multiplayer, of course, is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So far, it feels really balanced, really fun. There's just a ton of content there. I'm going to talk more about Smash pretty soon, so let's leave it at that. Alright, 2 more categories. Best Visuals. Number 3 is Hollow Knight, which is another Switch port from an earlier year. But I only got to play it this year because it came on the Switch this year. And this just has a nice style. I like the design of the bugs. They're very simple, mixed with the more realistic, environments. It's got a little bit of a monochromatic color palette, which at times feels a little too samey. But for the most part, I think it really looks nice. Nice 2D visuals and really good animations.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that. I felt the same way. I think it's lovely. I would agree monochromatic. I would have probably liked a little more visual variety throughout the areas, but yeah, beautiful game, and it does a really good job building an atmosphere with those visuals.
Yeah. Number 2 is Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I thought I was kind of surprised because from the trailers it didn't look too different from Smash 4. But seeing it in action, you can really notice a lot of the upgrades it got, especially in some of the older stages. There's just a lot more atmosphere to the game now. It feels like there's sort of a different set of lighting depending on which stage you're in. So the cavernous ones really feel, dank and dark and cavernous, and the outside bright ones, you kind of have this glow on the characters. I don't know, it's just a really nice looking game, and it never slows down or anything from what I can tell. And my favorite visuals of the year have to go to Octopath Traveler.
Oh.
Yeah, which really brings back the aesthetic from like the 16-bit days, like especially Final Fantasy 3 or 6, whatever. When everything was like super detailed, but it was still pixelated. It takes that and it converts it into a 3D kind of diorama look, but it also throws in all these lighting effects on top and all these special effects and things to where it looks really great. So like when you're in a cavern, you're carrying a torch and it like casts this shadow of your 16-bit looking character on the wall and stuff. And like when you're fighting stuff and your boost, it changes the lighting as you boost to the different levels. Everything gets colored in like a shade of blue. There's crazy effects going on all the time. The water looks great. And when it came out, everyone was like, I want to see what this 16-bit classic game, looks like remade in this style. What does Chrono Trigger look like in Octopath style? Everyone started talking about that.
Yeah.
That's a good sign that they really hit on something special.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It is a beautiful game, though my concern with the demo was that those effects you're mentioning were kind of overdone. I wonder, were they toned down a little bit in the final release or not?
I remember you had an issue with
the cave,
the
part?
darkness.
Yeah.
Like the amount of shadow. They were toned down a little bit. There's an option where you can turn off the corner shadows. It's kind of a spotlight effect on the middle, but instead of making the middle brighter, it makes the edges kind of darker.
Right.
Making the game feel a little cavernous, even when you're outside. You can turn that off, and I did turn it off early on, and I think the game looks better without it.
Yeah, I think that might be the key effect that was bothering me, so that's good to hear.
And lastly, the best gameplay. Number 3, I would put Mega Man 11 for reasons I've already mentioned. The weapons were great. The level design is pretty superlative. And there's like a bunch of extra modes where like you have to go through popping the blue balloons and not the red balloons. So you really have to come up with all these strategies going through levels, or going through a level without shooting at all, or shooting as few times as possible. There's a lot of different modes and stuff, and the gameplay really shines in this game. Number 2 is Hollow Knight, which was really challenging. When you're standing still, you can charge and heal yourself. It makes the actual boss battles and stuff, they never feel insurmountable because you can always kind of come back from the brink if you heal smartly, if you find your opening. So it really gives the combat a different kind of feel from most action games that, despite its difficulty, still always feels like it's not hopeless.
Right.
And of course, the general progression of the game it's well paced. There's a large world. There's a lot of secrets and stuff. It's well done. And number one, of course, is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate because I'm playing as so many characters in this game and just discovering new ones in terms of like, oh, I actually really like playing as Robin now, that kind of thing. It just feels like there's so much content to go through, and it's all built on this incredibly refined fighting engine. Good game. Hope y'all played it.
I played it before you did.
You did! You got to play as the Ridley Man.
Yeah, I got to play it for 4 minutes at a mall, and the input delay was so bad that I could barely tell what was going on.
I don't know. Well, at least you're playing the heavy. I think they do better with input delays, because you can just spam smash attacks.
Well, I got last place, so...
Oh, Chris.
Yeah. Yep.
Chris. All right, let's move on to the top 3. So, number 3 for me is Hollow Knight. This was a really good game. Might be my favorite indie game that I've played, actually. Granted, I haven't played a ton, and for some reason, I'm kind of picky with indie games. I don't know what it is. But this one was very, very good. A very good Metroid style. You go around, you get upgrades, you fight stuff. My only real complaint is kind of with the narrative, which feels a little artsy-fartsy. It's one of those games where you get, like, everyone says cryptic things, and after a while you're just like, ugh, something needs to happen. But otherwise, I'm not going to dwell on that too much because it didn't really matter. The gameplay was really strong. The upgrades and stuff all made sense. It had enough fresh ideas to where it didn't just feel like Metroid, with a different skin.
Right.
I liked the bug aesthetic a lot. It's really, really very good. It took me maybe an hour to kind of get into it. At first, I was just kind of wandering around lost in the initial area. But after I got over that hill, I really enjoyed the rest of the time with it. So, that leaves 2 games. This was a hard decision because these 2 games are definitely a big step above the rest of them for me.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which it's really, really good. It's better than Smash 4, I'd say, just in terms of like what it does compared to the previous game. The new characters are great. There are a ton of stages. There's a lot of music. The online works pretty well. Initially, it was kind of rocky, but I think they've kind of smoothed it out. And I love playing as Ridley, and I love playing as Simon. And the DLC, like, you're getting Joker from Persona 5, that's pretty exciting. And there's rumors of Erdrick from Dragon Quest, which I would go nuts for. But I mean, I'm not going to factor that in. On the other hand, we have Octopath Traveler, which was an RPG I completely loved. It was, the story was good, it wasn't amazing, but the visuals and the soundtrack and the battle system were all, like, among the best I had ever seen in an RPG for me. The soundtrack in particular was fantastic. Like, I cannot say enough good things about the soundtrack. The whole thing is orchestrated. Every track has this strong melody line. It does all sorts of complicated things without just becoming meandering. So that the actual songs are, they're very strong, they're very memorable, they're catchy. I would probably rate the soundtrack in my top 5 of all time, to be honest.
Wow.
It's that good. It completely nailed it for me, like the music. The music is completely on target for me. The visuals are really good. The battle system's really good. I spent 100 hours 100%ing the game. The final boss is like the hardest thing ever. It is so hard. It is the hardest RPG battle. It's not just hard. It's annoying because if you die, you have to do this 40-minute thing where you fight past bosses again.
Ooh.
It's kind of an optional final boss. It's not really tied. I mean, it's kind of tied to the story, but
so it's not the final. It's not like the regular story boss. It's like the final optional, like Omega boss kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess there are 8 stories. Each one has their own final boss.
Right.
This is after that. After you do a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of optional. I mean, you get the credits before it. But it's so hard. But the music there is so good. It's like the best final boss theme. Wow. I mean, maybe not the best. It's up there. It's up there with Dancing Mad. It's nuts.
Oh, jeez.
It's nuts. Where was I going with this? So Octopath's music is just unbelievable. The story was good. The chapter-based system is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You know, you basically play the beginning of 8 different RPGs in the first 10 hours.
Yeah.
And then you know, it's some of their stories they don't always hit the mark. Some of them have really good themes. The battle system is really, really good. It's very strategic. It reminds me a little bit of Paper Mario. So, Octopath Traveler, Smash Bros. Ultimate, the answer may surprise you, because I really like both. But, in the end, I'm going to have to say number 2 is Octopath Traveler.
I'm not surprised at all.
You're not surprised at all? Okay.
Nah.
Because I thought people would think, oh, you know, he's going to say Octopath Traveler beats even Smash.
But Matthew, you're the Smash guy.
I am the Smash guy. That's true. I do really like Smash, but Smash 4 was not my game of the year. For those of you that remember the 2014 bit fees, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze beat out Smash 4 because it was just the best. But Octopath Traveler is super good. It's not quite my favorite. I mean, I would rank it number 8 on my JRPG list, which is still a very good place to be. But it's not quite. It falls a little bit short. With Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I'd probably give it the same, you know, number rating as Octopath, but it would be just a hair higher because it's actually a little better than I expected it would be. I really like playing as all the characters. The gameplay is just rock solid and really smooth. There's a ton of stuff to do. The World of Light stuff is pretty good. It's probably a little too long for its own good, but I think that's okay because you're not compelled to beat it in one sitting. It's just like always this mode that's sitting there that you can go play between rounds online or rounds with your friends, or the classic mode, which is vastly improved as well, by the way. Classic mode is fantastic. Like Ryu's classic, they're all themed.
Right, they're all designed, right? They're designed per character.
Like Ryu's classic mode, you're fighting a bunch of Street Fighter characters that most closely represented by the Smash characters. Like you'll fight Zero Suit Samus as Chun-Li, and they're all stamina fights, you know. And that's just one example, you know. In Ness's classic mode, you're going back to Onett from Magicant. So, like, in one level, you're fighting. It's like supposed to be 3'd, you know. You're on Luigi's Mansion fighting a bunch of Dark Toon Links with the glowing eyes because they're like zombies. And there's just like thousands of these Nintendo references throughout the game between the event matches and the classic mode stuff. The music is better than Smash 4's, even though in a vacuum, I don't know if I'd say it's better than Brawl's. Like in terms of the quality of the remixes, but there are a ton of songs, and they're not while they're not stuck with that 2-minute limit anymore, the ones that have already been altered in the past game that came back are still that, which is kind of annoying. But otherwise, these are kind of minor complaints for a really, really good Smash Brothers game. Yeah, so Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I really wanted to give this to Octopath Traveler because I think everybody's going to say Smash is the best game of the year, and I really liked Octopath Traveler, and I really wanted to get more props that it deserves. But at the end of the day, Smash was just fantastic, and so was Octopath, but Smash was a little better. So, there's my top 10. What do you think, Christopher?
I think that's a pretty good list. I agree with a lot of it. I mean, I agree with the inclusion of Hollow Knight, although I played that previously to 2018. That's a really great game. I'm glad you liked it so much.
Yeah, it was good.
It almost feels too easy to say Smash is the game of the year because, you know, every Smash has been pretty great and it's always up there in the conversation, but it seems like this one earned it.
Yeah, because I mean, I was definitely thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do a crazy thing and say Octopath, and it'll be so surprising. But I mean, I can't quite do it. Gotta give it to Smash. So.
No, and for an RPG, you know, the story's a big part of it, and I'm big on story, and I've always lamented when games don't really, you know, hit the mark in terms of story. Is it like way off, or would it just require a little bit of rewriting to kind of make it a little more solid for you?
I'm not sure what you'd think of Octopath's story, because one of the big complaints about it is that the 8 stories are largely isolated in and of themselves. So you're basically getting 8 short stories rather than one big save the world story.
Yeah, and that's what's odd to me, because going into it, I would have expected them to all intertwine.
Yeah, they don't really. There are some details at the very, very end that kind of link a few things together that are really cool, actually. But I'd say for the most part, you're really just seeing 8 stories here, and I'm not inherently opposed to that concept. I think some of the stories are done very, very well for what they are, but by and large, you're getting like maybe an hour and a half of each story, and then they're done. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not getting a 16-hour story. You're getting a 8 chunklets of stories, you know. So. Right. I would say they're good for what they are, but it's not as superlative as a lot of the game is. I would say as its best features. But I mean, for me, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So that's our list. Let us know if there's anything you vehemently disagree with. Perhaps my ranking of Undertale.
Well, we need to discuss Undertale more soon, and maybe Deltarune as well.
Oh yeah, well you still have not finished Undertale. You've only started it.
That's true. So
you said I'm done with this game.
I would intend to finish that and play Deltarune as well, because I think it's not very long. So maybe we could do a big chat on both of those in the nearish future.
Oh, maybe so.
I know you don't like playing games on your computer.
Yeah, that's the thing, man.
But I got you that thing a while ago where you can hook up your SNES controller.
That's true.
You still have that?
I think I know where that is.
Because that would make it a bit more enjoyable, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I just
you were not as impressed. You were not impressed enough by Undertale to even do that.
I wasn't gonna say it, but that's kind of what I'm feeling like. I liked Undertale, but I mean, on my priority list of games to play right now, it's kind of, I want to finish Ys 8. I ranked it higher than Undertale, so I want to finish that. And there's Smash, and then there's all these Sega Genesis games I gotta play now. I gotta play 40 of these things.
Oh yeah, those have got to be better than Undertale.
Time to do that. Those have got to be better. All right, so we're gonna bounce. Let us know what you thought of 2018 for the Switch. And what are you looking forward to in 2019?